What is the purpose of morality? Does it have to do with consequences? For example, promoting and maximizing human happiness? What about developing moral character? Depending on what ethical vantage point we take, consequentialism, deontology, virtue ethics, existentialism, we will illuminate different features of the moral life. The need and purpose for ethical codes depends, at least partially, on human nature. Let's explore human nature a bit. You ever heard of the Leviathan? The Leviathan is a biblical creature, described to be about 300 miles in length. Depending on what interpretation you subscribe to, the Leviathan can be many things. A biblical symbol for the devil, the demon of envy, Hellmouth, where sinners disappear on the day of judgment, a dinosaur, or the force of chaos, defeated by God. All of these seem to be external forces, but what if, symbolically, the Leviathan is an internal force deep within humankind, rather than a terrifying external force? William Golding's classic Lord of the Flies depicts the fear, hysteria, violence, and deception that is intrinsic to human nature. We can represent the characters as follows: Ralph, commonsensical, decent, likable, athletic. He represents the order of society. Jack, egotistic, aggressive, greedy. Piggy, the feeble philosopher. Simon, the mystic, the naturalist, behaving morally not out of guilt and shame, but out of the intrinsic value of morality. The question I want you to think about is, what is Golding telling us about society? He is zooming in on a defect of human nature. Let's identify it. Once we do, we can figure out what remedy moral philosophy can offer. The boys find themselves on an island, attempting to organize leadership and make a plan. We catch a glimpse of man's chaotic and unstable nature when Jack isn't voted as chief. His embarrassment and jealousy are visible responses, only on the surface of something much darker. Ralph witnesses the embarrassment and decides to make Jack the leader of the choir, the Hunters. This role will allow Jack to explore his dark tendencies. Ralph organizes meetings where order is maintained with the conch shell, a symbol for civilized behavior. Ralph's initial announcement is that the boys are on an island, a habitable one, with resources. This is supposed to appease the worries of the boys. However, the initial positive image is tainted when one of the younger boys brings up the beastie. The strong force of fear shows itself, and Ralph cannot suppress it. He expresses his view through reason, to show why there is no beast. But Jack presents an alternative point of view. He gives those deceived by their own fears a remedy: violence disguised as strength. Together we're strong enough to kill the beast when we hunt. Man's inner violence now has a way to be revealed and released, and it is through a falsehood, the shadowy beast, and it is disguised as a falsehood, strength and defense. So far we have fear, deception, and violence as the revealed properties of man. After exploring their violent tendencies during the pig hunt, we see a transformation in Jack. Once Jack puts on the face paint, he loses any form of self-accountability. With this external transformation, we see Jack's true internal state. He is physically transforming into the shadowy beast, but morally, he is becoming what he is: egomaniacal, destructive, and greedy. During a debate about why they're breaking apart as a group, Ralph diagnoses the problem as the boys being frightened. He tries to reason with the group, but Jack takes the conch shell and blames it on the weakness of the boys. Piggy says they are afraid of each other. Deluded, the small boys debate about the nature of the beast. Piggy yells at them for their ignorance, but Piggy, the feeble incarnation of philosophical thought, reflective, rational, and incapable of changing others, is not taken seriously. After a series of events, including the mistaking of a dead parachuter for the beast, Jack's hopeless attempt to get voted as the tribe leader, a schism, and Jack leading most of the boys off with the promise of strength, we come to a symbolic portion of the story. Jack and the hunters put the head of a dead pig on a stake. One night, Simon is in front of this barbaric symbol and has an epileptic seizure. Prior to the seizure, he has a vision where the pig head claims that it is the beast, the Lord of the Flies. The name Lord of the Flies is derived from the Greek Beelzebub, which is another name for the devil. The head then says that the beast is inside the boys. Simon sees the truth of human nature. We are the chaotic Leviathan, but we do not admit it to ourselves. We make up phantoms and place blame on them. After seeing the truth and corroborating that the parachuter is not the beast, Simon runs back to tell the boys this, but they are in a daze, performing a pig hunting dance during a feast organized by Jack. In this frenzy, the boys kill Simon. Even Ralph participates. Ralph, Piggy, Sam, and Eric are in denial about the event. They experience the barbaric and chaotic force firsthand, through themselves. Things get more extreme. After the theft of Piggy's glasses and the capture of Sam and Eric, Jack and Ralph fight. Piggy interrupts the fight with a philosophical question about what is better to believe in: order, agreement, and rules, or hunting and destruction. While Piggy is talking, Roger displaces a massive stone and kills Piggy. The stone smashes the conch shell, the only remaining symbol of order. Ralph is now hunted. Sam and Eric, former friends, rat him out to the rest of the tribe. The tribe's aim is to kill Ralph. In an attempt to smoke Ralph out, Jack ends up lighting the island on fire. During the moment when Ralph is about to be killed, he runs to the beach, where there is a British naval officer. Ralph attempts to explain what happened and begins to cry. Everyone else cries as well. It is a reflection on the fragmented nature of humans, egomaniacal, deceptive, and yet regretful. Quote, "And in the middle of the children, with filthy body, matted hair, and unwiped nose, Ralph wept for the end of innocence, the darkness of man's heart, and the fall through the air of the true, wise friend called Piggy." The rescue by the naval officer conceals the defects of human nature. Even though the naval officer is dignified, decent, and follows the ethical codes of society, his cruiser will be hunting the enemy. Will it be in the same savage way that the boys were hunting each other? Who will rescue the adult? The lessons from the story. We don't need an external force to bring about evil. Moral social codes are made of dust and rationalizations. In the story, Jack overthrows a seemingly strong and capable Ralph and the seemingly robust humane rules that are associated with him. The reason is because of the innate human temptation for fear, deception, and savagery. The reality of the beast is created and amplified by people. Let's rewind to the Leviathan, but this time the book Leviathan, written by Thomas Hobbes. Tom believed that humans act out of interest, seek gratification, and the avoidance of harm, but we have the capability to harm other humans, and we may desire to do so when they want the same ends in the form of limited resources. This leads to an unstable nature, a state of insecurity and fear. In this state of nature, there are no reliable expectations for order in human behavior. To put it simply, every human against every human. In such a society, there is no place for industry, cultivation, navigation, knowledge of the face of the earth, art, literature. There is no account of time. There is no society, just fear, loneliness, and death. Hobbes says that this state is in no one's interest. We can compromise to get security, peace, happiness, and power, but this implies giving up some of our natural liberties for a social contract. where rules are enforced by a mighty ruler, the state, the Leviathan. Once we have such a contract, morality can arise. Justice and injustice can be used as classifications of moral and immoral acts. On this view, morality is not merely a form of social control born out of a contract. It is also something that emerges out of the interaction between rational human beings with a specific set of starting conditions and with the goal of happiness. Hobbes is giving us an account of the purpose of morality. If we want to escape the solitary, brutish, and brief existence in an unbearable hell, then we need mutual, rational cooperation.